Here's a bit of a delayed review for Peacemaker Season 2. The show's second season just finished a few weeks ago. Just took a little time to put this review together, been busy with other stuff, but here it is at last. I was watching the show as it came out, which it had a weekly episode release on HBO Max. For those who haven't seen the show, I'm not going to go into super heavy story spoilers, so you don't have to worry about that. I saw Peacemaker Season 1 when it came out in early 2022. It was from James Gunn, and his signature style was all over that series. Unorthodox, but humorous and feel good. Also good use of music. It was my favorite role from John Cena. He just had amazing energy and just fun and comedy timing in that series. I had a lot of fun with the show. Naturally, it had a lot of the same things that made Guardians of the Galaxy work. A nice underdog team story. It was a big hit on streaming, so naturally it got a second season, again under James Gunn's direction, but this time under the label of the new DC Studios. In Peacemaker Season 2, Chris Smith, Peacemaker, uses a door to another dimension to live in a world which he finds to be perfect. Another multiverse story, but it's not the way multiverse stories are normally done when it comes to cameos and that kind of thing. Initially, the biggest surprise here was that I was expecting the plot of Peacemaker Season 2 to use the multiverse story to incorporate the story and characters of Peacemaker into James Gunn's new DC universe. Originally, it was part of the now retired DC Extended Universe. That's not quite what happened here. This is no story spoiler, but they retcon that Peacemaker has been taking place in the new DC universe all along. It's a weird and, to be honest, lazy approach that brings up a lot of questions in terms of how the story lines up, but this isn't something that the series goes into addressing heavily. I think the thing I was looking forward to most here was the opening credit dance intro sequence. Season 1's dance intro sequence was just so unexpected and brilliant, with the "Do You Really Want to Taste It" song and the dancing from the cast that went with it. Season 2 sequence isn't as good as Season 1, in large part because the song is very different, and what made it weird was that they repeated some of the same dance moves, but it was mostly fun enough and got me into the groove for James Gunn's style. Peacemaker Season 1 was much more of a save the world kind of adventure, but despite the multiverse story here, there's a pleasantness to the more personal story of Season 2. I felt a lot more empathy for Peacemaker, I'll just call him by his name, Chris, in seeing the new universe he goes to and how it brings him real happiness because of how much he's lost in his world. The love story was the most interesting thing to watch play out here, between Chris and Amelia Harcourt. I thought originally it was hardcore, but I guess it's Harcourt. It's a good story to follow, although the most awkward thing and thing I was most curious about watching here was how in this story, if James Gunn was going to let John Cena get busy with his wife, Jennifer Holland, who plays Harcourt. The series essentially goes out of its way to not show anything between these two physically until it gets to the moment where they gotta show something. And man, those scenes must have been awkward as for everyone to film. On a side note, James Gunn's wife is hot as though. But there is a nice charm to the badassness of her character, and Holland is really good in seeing her play two very different versions of her character. But I got enough out of this love story, and the way it contrasts between Chris's world and the perfect dimension is very nice. But the series' main priority is the humor. James Gunn just consistently puts together these weird conversations that go in some random as directions, but it's that randomness that catches you off guard and mostly had me laugh. I say mostly because there's a decent amount of time where the conversations are just childish and trying way too hard, including overusing the word as if a 5-year-old is discovering the word for the first time.
Hey, fatty.
Fuck! The character I was most mixed on is Vigilante. He's emblematic of a lot of James Gunn's dialogue, where it can be heartfelt, but there's just those weird sidetracks that have you say, what the hell was that? But you still end up mostly laughing from it because it is funny, because it is so random. But it was the same thing I didn't like about him in Season 1, where I get mentally he's a little crazy, but he does some legit messed up stuff, and there's no accountability for it from anyone. In season 1, he was the one responsible for that whole alien bugs killing off dozens of innocent people, and no one says anything about it. I thought the same thing here with a major moment in the penultimate episode, with somebody killed, and no one said anything about it. And those are the kind of reactions that can just detach me from characters in a series. My favorite moment in season 2, and again, no spoilers, is when it got revealed the truth behind this perfect dimension. It did elevate the stakes, and just the, wow, that's where y'all are going with this. For as fun as this moment was, and some other action sequences and dialogue, I was equally turned off by the show just putting in your face a full frontal orgy party, with plenty of dick and balls up in my face. That was the show just trying painfully too hard. But if you take out the weirdest moments, the show was hitting the right beats to keep me invested and entertained through the 8 episodes. The actual ending is a big what the f*** though. Afterwards, I had to look up if there would be a 9th episode I originally didn't know about, and I found out, nope, that's how it ended. Clearly they have some plans for Peacemaker in the future with this new DC universe, but that doesn't make it a good ending. Describing it as unsatisfying would be being too kind to it. It left a sour enough taste in my mouth to where, despite the good things in Peacemaker Season 2, I gotta say I liked it, but just barely, all things considered. Without that ending, I would have just said I firmly liked it, at times even liked it a lot, because of some good character interplay between Chris and Harcourt. There is seemingly no plans for a Season 3, according to James Gunn, but this story will continue in some way or another in the future in some other DC Studios project. One of the best things this series does is world building in terms of connecting it to this year's Superman, even with some major developments in terms of what it means for certain characters going forward. It reminded me of those early connections that made the MCU so strong. So that'll do it for this review of Peacemaker Season 2. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching.